It's Food Friday on 630 CHED. This morning with Stacey Brotzel. Yummy.
We are talking food and how it can make a difference in our community. Now, earlier this month, I know a lot of hospitality, a lot of restaurants, a lot of food producers, they banded together to raise money for Jasper and relief efforts there after that massive fire took out a third of the town. And Short Park-based JACEK Chocolate donated 50% of their sales on one particular day to recovery efforts. And tomorrow, we're focusing on another community, and JACEK again donating now 100% of their proceeds to help another community grow. This one, however, in Africa.
We work in Eswatini, a small country in southern Africa where crises like AIDS, poverty, and food shortages have decimated families. In a country of just 1.3 million people, there are over 370,000 orphaned or vulnerable children.
And to tell us a little bit more about where the proceeds, these sweet proceeds, will be going is Josh Guenther. He is Executive Director with Bazulu. Good morning.
Good morning, Stacey. Thanks for having me on.
So tell us about the work that you do in Africa and which community you're focused on.
Absolutely. So we work with a small country called Eswatini. Many would have known it as Swaziland before. And it's a very, very tiny country in southern Africa. And there was a population there ravaged by HIV, the AIDS pandemic, that would have gone longer on than expected because of apartheid in South Africa and other development issues. So this big challenge left a massive hole in family structures all across the country, and it resulted in hundreds of thousands of orphaned and vulnerable kids. So we partner with a local organization called Bulembu, and they run an orphanage. But we also talk about running an orphanage that doesn't want to be the only solution. A lot of people believe that orphans belong in orphanages. But at Bazulu, we believe that orphans belong in families. And so we want to be taking those next steps with our partners to work out how the final solution isn't meant to be a compound or a space where a kid is raised in an orphanage, but ultimately a house and a home where an orphan is raised in a family. So we're really, really excited to work locally here in Canada to kind of push that narrative forward and to make people aware of that kind of work that's happening, while also working to support really incredible partners on the ground that are doing amazing work taking care of these kids and starting to find families for them to belong to forever.
So families in Africa or families in North America?
That's right, yeah.
All of the above?
Well, the first piece is always going to be finding families locally and finding biological families. One of the greatest myths or misunderstandings about orphan care globally is that if you showed up to an orphanage, whether it be in Haiti or Uganda or Eswatini, and you'd look at all of the kids there and you'd assume every single one of these kids is an orphan. But the reality is that up to 80 or 90% of these kids in some cases actually have known parents, not just extended family or a grandmother somewhere, but known biological mom or dad. And there's been a separation at that stage, right? Whether it's trauma, disease, violence, these families are broken apart. And then sometimes the orphanage is kind of that Band-Aid solution. Wait, we've got to take care of this kid who's in crisis. We've got to do something. But we need to take a step back and recognize that the ultimate solution is not the orphanage. The ultimate solution is figuring out how we repair that family and put it back together.
I'm sure you've been to Eswatini. What's your experience like? Take us to what you've seen over the years.
Absolutely. I feel both my wife and I, we've had the privilege of actually living on the continent for about 10 years. We moved back to Edmonton, which is home for us, in 2021. And Africa in general is just this amazing, wonderful place. There's so many different countries to visit and so many people to see. There in Eswatini, it is kind of quiet. It's this lovely, peaceful land full of mountains and full of green. And then there's this incredible people who have undergone so many challenges. We think about inflation and how it's impacted our lives here in Canada. In Eswatini, the price of staple foods went up by 40% overnight. Gasoline prices doubled. The economic crisis and the things that they're enduring right now are staggering. And yet, if you'd go to visit, which I'm actually flying out next in October, and again, I'm just so lucky to be able to say that this is my job. I get to do this, to travel and go to these places. But
sounds like sometimes it'd be heartbreaking to go visit and to see those kids, and you just want to sort of scoop them up and take them home with you on the plane.
Yes, and there is a struggle there for sure. Our work as kind of development professionals or people who are trying to solve these problems is we really do have to focus hard on the wins. We have to look at where we are seeing, God work and where redemptive work is coming to fruition, and recognize that, we weren't there at the problem. Like, with a lot of these families breaking up in crisis, disease, we couldn't be there to help save them, but we're there now. Mm-hmm. And so how do we make a difference and how do we make a change now in these kids' lives? And again, that's where partnering with people like Jacqueline JACEK at JACEK Chocolates and partnering with all kinds of donors and groups who want to get involved, there are so many ways that we can make a difference right now in the lives of these kids.
All right. How can our listeners make a difference? So sales tomorrow will all be going to where? And tell us how it works.
Yeah, sure. So we're partnering with JACEK Chocolates, and they've got two retail locations, one in Sherwood Park and one here in Edmonton. So I'll actually be at the Crestwood location all day tomorrow. I'd love to be able to connect with people who come into the shop, either for the fundraiser or maybe surprise someone who's just coming in for a bar of chocolate. But tomorrow, we're partnering with JACEK to sell candy, to spread a bit of joy here, and the goal is to kind of continue to spread that joy. I believe that is what JACEK Chocolate loves to do. Mm-hmm. And the fundraiser, our goal this year is to raise money to provide school supplies, stationery, so it's perfect time back to school. The season's a little different in Eswatini. They're already back in school, but those stationery supplies will be useful for the whole rest of the year. And it's a really, really easy, exciting way to kind of enrich a child's life, enrich a vulnerable child's life.
It's pretty, come on, it's pretty easy buying chocolate.
Yeah, we're not twisting arms today. In other areas, we'll be doing things like Giving Tuesday, and we'll have end-of-year campaigns. So if people are really keen, or if something that I've said has struck a chord, you can visit our website. It's bezulu.org, bezulu.org. And there's a really easy way to sign up for our newsletter. There's a contact form that reaches out directly to me. So there's lots of ways and opportunities for people to get on board because, the needs are so significant that we face.
Oh, you bet. All right. Tomorrow, Bars for Balembu is sales of JACEK chocolate bars going to orphan kids in Africa, just making sure that they have a better life. And, if you were going to pick up some chocolate bars, tomorrow would be the day to do it. Yep. Thanks so much, Josh, for coming in. Appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll say one more thing. Jacqueline has been so generous to say that 10% of all gift card sales as well are going to be going towards the fundraiser. And so this is 10% of all gift cards sold on Saturday. And then that way, if you wanted to, you could get some of your Christmas shopping done, or you could get those stocking stuffers in August and feel really good about yourself.
What's your goal? And what's your goal? What's the number you have in your mind?
Our goal is $5,000 that we want to raise.
$5,000 goes a long way there.
Yeah, absolutely. And so that's going to make a world of difference. And we're just so excited. So people, if you can't get out to a retail location tomorrow, then head over to Jacqueline's website, JACEK Chocolates, and buy a gift card or order bars online. It's a great way to be able to get involved. And then ultimately, visit Bezulu, sign up for our newsletter, and you'll get to learn more about what it looks like to support orphan and vulnerable children in a safe and ethical way. That's really our primary focus.
All right. We've been talking to Josh Guenther. He is Executive Director with Bezulu.